Namaste yogis. Welcome to your practice. This is Steven from YogaWorks. And in the next half an hour, what we're going to do is yoga for a busy mind. I feel supremely qualified to teach this class because I've had a busy mind for a very long time. Everybody thinks yoga teachers have got it all together, never lose their cool, are always calm and collected. Nothing is further from the truth. So what I want to share today is a couple of things that I like to do when my mind feels busy, and it usually means it's sort of all over the place, trying to dabble in too many things at the same time, and that often also means it's not really here. So what we're going to do in this practice is to focus as much as possible on just doing a couple of yoga poses. We're not rushing from one to the other. I'll explain a bit more as we go. But we're trying to keep our mind really present, a little bit more focused, a little bit less scattered. Good, we're going to start on all fours. And it's just really simple. Stretch the right leg back, lift it a little bit off the mat without losing your core. So keep the front ribs a little bit in. And then reach your left arm forward. Nice, inhale here. And then exhale, bring the left elbow and the right knee towards each other. And then stretch them away from each other. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come close. Inhale, reach out, left arm, right leg. Exhale, crunch together. Two more like this. Inhale, lengthen, reach a little bit. And exhale, bring the elbow to the knee. And then one more, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, bring the two together. Then place it down. We'll go straight to the second side. So it's the left leg back. Lift it up but not too high. And then right arm, reach it forward. Inhale, this is the starting position. And then exhale, second position as you bring the elbow and the knee together. Just some simple movement to start our practice. Inhale, lengthen and reach. Exhale, together. Couple more like this, and it's some core work, but it's not super intense. Just to bring your mind into the practice, but not to present such a challenge that you're starting to tune out because your mind is already busy. So if you're going to make it too hard, then you will tune out as well. So we're trying to find that right balance where it's just enough intensity to stay focused. And then bring everything down. I'm walking a little bit back so I have more space at the front of the mat. Keep the hips above the knees and then bring the hands way forward and start to lower the forehead, the chest down towards the mat. Wherever you stop there. And just to make it a little bit more active and interesting, you could say, come up onto your fingertips and then see, maybe the forehead doesn't quite touch down anymore, that's fine. Just see where you get to. And then find this nice length through the arms, little push through the fingertips, and a good stretch the front of the shoulders, a bit into the upper back, maybe the chest. And just notice where you feel this. Keep pressing fingertips down, and as you lift the forearms up, and then release it, you can lower the hands down, and just a simple twist, left arm threaded under the right armpit. Just stay here for a moment. Sometimes what I like to do is press that right hand down to roll the right shoulder open. Just see if that gives you a good twist into the upper part of the spine. A couple of breaths here. And then back to center. Right arm threaded under to the opposite side. With the left hand, you might not be able to see, but I'm just pushing down with that left hand and getting a bit of space in the front of the left shoulder there. The right arm, you can also ground it down by pushing it into the mat. And then just feel the rotation of your spine and the movement of the breath inside the space of the pose. And then return to the center, just place your hands at the front of the mat and stretch back into downward facing dog. You can always move around, especially in that first down dog. It might feel good to stretch one heel down and then the other. And often these simple movements help us to settle the mind a little bit more and to sort of ground down into your body. Sometimes when you work, especially if you work on a computer or more of mental work, then you're a little bit up into your thoughts, into the head, into planning, organizing mode. And now we drop into the body. So press the hands down, lengthen through your arms. So you're trying to make the whole side body, not just the arms, but all the way to your waist. You're trying to make that longer. And you're trying to stretch the backs of the legs down and away from you. So you get this nice pyramid shape. We're holding this one a little bit longer, just see if you can find some stability, some steadiness. And it's the same thing we're trying to create for the mind. We're trying to give it a simple access point and saying, look, you've done all kinds of complicated stuff. You're solving some very real problems. But now this is the only thing you need to do. You're just doing some yoga. You're focusing on the one pose at a time. And then step your right foot forward, lower the left knee down. Just do some gentle hip and shoulder warm-up stuff. Come into Anjaneyasana, which is a simple low lunge. Soften down into it a bit, and then just reach the hands back behind you, clasp them together behind your lower back, and ever so slightly lift the hands a little bit away from your back. That's it. So the shoulders go back, the chest is broadening, the hips, especially front of that left hip, is getting some nice length. It's a good place to start. You can squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you and draw them a little bit down, if that feels good. And then straight from here, release the hands and come into eagle arms, right elbow under the left. Lift the elbows a bit and press the forearms away from you. Nice. And don't just do a passive pose where you're hanging out, because that will just lead to more scattered thoughts in my experience. So give it a little bit of a challenge by pressing the forearms together, lifting the elbows a bit, and broadening your upper back. Good. Release it, downward facing dog, step back. Just a moment here to gather your attention. It tends to drift off, but we can bring it back. And then step the left foot forward, same thing on the second side, right knee come down. Let the hips come forward and down. I don't always teach the pose this way, but for now, this is good. And reach your hands back, clasp the fingers together, and lift a little bit away from your back. We're not interested how far the hands lift exactly, but what we do want is create a bit of space, the front of the shoulders, the chest, the belly, the front of the right hip. These are areas that often tense up and they're a bit closed off and we're sitting for a long time. This is a good antidote. Good, release it. Left elbow under right, straight into Garudasana arms, the eagle arms. Not just passive, but we're giving the body and the mind a little bit more input by pressing the elbows together in the forearms. Lift the elbows slightly, and then you're pulling the arms apart, but they're stuck in the bind, so that's going to give a better stretch in the upper back. Just feel that for another moment. One more inhale. And exhale and do it. Step back, downward facing dog. Yes. From here, just lower the elbows down, one and then the other. You can clasp the hands together and walk a little bit closer, dolphin pose. Lift the hips high, press the floor, the mat down with your arms, with your elbows, with the outer wrists. And then sort of telescope your hips up and back. Feel all that space in the upper body. And you want to feel quite grounded and supported in this pose. Not that it's easy, but there's a good grounding through the forearms there. And then release the knees down, step the right foot forward. Back into that low lunge. Now we'll do another shoulder opener. I'm sure you know this one, but it's a good classic. Reach the right arm up, bend the right arm so your right hand goes behind the back of the neck somewhere. And then left arm, I'm reaching it to the left here and bring it behind the lower back. Now, don't worry if the hands don't quite touch. For me, they often don't actually. And just make fists with your hands and keep the hands a bit actively pressing into the back. Nice, that's it. I'm leaning the head a bit back and actively opening the shoulders. And also we're holding this lunge for a good long while. It's a good position to stretch the front of the hips. And then release the left hand down. Tuck the back toes under, lift that back knee, and lift the right arm into easy twist. With the right hip, lengthen a little bit back. And again, let your mind drop into these simple poses. They're not always easy. Sometimes they get quite demanding, but it's also good to have a little level of challenge to keep the mind interested enough to stay here. And then step back, downward facing dog. A breath or so just to settle the ground, focus. And then left foot forward, right knee down. Come up into Anjaneyasana, the low lunge. And it's going to be left arm up, bend that left elbow. You can make a fist here. And the right arm goes to the right. Slide it up the back, however far it goes. Make fists. Push the hands into your back and lean the head a little bit back. Nice. Don't lose the lunge, so you can soften the hips forward and down and just find a good balance between a bit of softening and a bit of strengthening. Take another breath or so, and then release the right hand down. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and lift the left arm straight up. Push the right hand down, easy twist. Left hip, reach it back, and keep a good bend in that front knee. There's a lot going on in this pose, so keep your focus here in the body. Release, left hand down, step back, downward facing dog, we're back. Every time we come back to down dog, see if you can center your attention a little bit more. And then step right foot wide outside the right hand. Lower the left knee down. You can turn the foot out a bit if that feels good. And then both hands ground them down. Make sure you have space here. You can wiggle the foot out so you have more space. And then first lengthen the spine. A good way to do that is just to look forward and feel the whole spine will follow that forward movement. Nice, keep that. Then tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee. Nice. Can you keep the forward motion? So we're trying not to round the back excessively. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Nice. Now we'll add on. You can stop wherever you want, but can you lower the left elbow down to the mat? Nice. And for some of you, it's going to be possible to lower the right elbow down. Sometimes the right elbow doesn't quite go all the way down. Don't worry about it. You can place a blanket, a pillow, a block under the arms, or just have one hand down, one elbow if that works better. And then marinate here for a moment, so to speak. You're inviting your mind to be right here. This is all you're doing. You're practicing and you're inviting the mind to be a little bit less all over the place. Because that doesn't lead to a lot of good effects, isn't it? You can worry about 100 problems, but you're not going to solve them now. So you may as well just be here at the moment. Then you return to all the problems when it's time to do that. And then release it, step back, downward facing dog. Just take a moment, feel the after effects of the work you're doing. And then left foot wide outside that left hand, keep some space. You can turn the foot out, the toes out. Hands come down, lengthen the spine, look forward. Keep a bit of that as you tuck the back toes under. Can you lift the right knee, straighten that right leg all the way. We're doing this to add an extra challenge so it's not too soft and relaxing, because that's where the mind says, okay, apparently I don't need to be here, I don't need to be focused. And it tunes out at least in my experience. And then you can add more if you want to. Right elbow might come down, left elbow might come down, or any part of this. You know that you can elevate the elbows a bit higher if that works better for your body. And then it's quite an active pose. I'm pushing the left foot down. Obviously, I'm pushing the right foot down as well there at the back. I'm pressing the forearms down. And I'm doing my best to keep that back leg straight and to lengthen the spine. Obviously, there'll be some rounding in the spine. That's fine. Don't worry about it. And then place the hands downward facing dog. Let's do one more in this little series of hip and shoulder work stretches. Bring the right knee forward to pigeon pose. So right knee goes behind that right hand, so towards the right side of the mat. Take a moment, walk the left foot back, so it's in line with that left hip. And then press the fingertips down to lift the heart. Nice. You can stay here, nice active pose. Be sure to press that front shin and the front knee down on the mat. As well as the front of the back leg, can you ground down? So we're not just flopping down, we're not doing sleeping pigeon. We're keeping it a little bit higher, a little bit more active. Nice. There's one more option if you'd like to. Well, there's more option than one. But sometimes I like to reach back with that right hand to hold the left foot. And it's just a really nice combination of outer hip on the right, front of the hip on the left. And for me, this is not such an easy position, so I have to keep my mind a little bit focused on what's happening in the body. Felt like I could chill in this pose for a long time. And then release it if you're holding the back foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Notice we're doing more of a hatha class, so we're not necessarily flowing from one pose to the other. We're not doing vinyasa in between. It gives a nice little break for the mind. You know what's coming, and there's no rush to get to the next pose, Left knee forward, pigeon pose, second side. Take a moment, set it up. Walk the right leg back. Make any adjustments. Press through the fingertips, lift the heart. Nice. When something lifts up, it's going to be necessary to ground something else down, otherwise you've got nothing to lift up against. So you'll have to press that front leg down, as well as the front of that back leg. Feel that support. The more you push down through the legs, the more the upper body will feel a bit lighter. Stay here, or option 2, reach left hand back for that right foot. You can also do the same hand actually, doesn't really matter. And then as I'm holding the foot, I'm kicking it a little bit back into that hand. Couple of breaths, just feel what you feel. If it's mild, accept that it's mild. If it's a little bit more intense, accept that it's a little bit more intense. And then gently release, step back, downward facing dog. Press through the hands, lift the hips high. Good, and step 1 foot forward, doesn't matter which one, because we're turning to the side. So choose the one that makes more sense. Turn the feet parallel to each other and lengthen the spine a bit. Nice. For now we're in fingertips, but you can also lower the palms down. If there's enough space to do that, you can do that. And then of course you can walk the hands further back, and then you'll start to bend the elbows a bit like chaturanga, and that will help you to traction on the mat and lengthen the spine a little bit forward and a little bit down. Down is more of a byproduct. As you lengthen, as you come back to this pose, your body will let you in more, and after a while you'll find out the head goes a bit lower. But that's not our goal. What we do want to do is get a bit of a sense of going upside down, because it's really hard to be super stressed and all over the place when you're upside down. You just get this new perspective. You see the world from a different angle. The floor is up and the ceiling is down or the sky is down in your new perspective. And it just turns things around quite nicely. It's hard to remember what you were stressing about just before, isn't it? So feel this support under your feet, under your hands, maybe under the head if your head is touching down. All these points of support. And then slowly lift back up into a flat back. Nice. From here, wiggle the feet closer. You can go sort of one heel toe, heel toe, heel toe until you're parallel with your feet. Then we'll do two related postures, which are forward folds. The first one is Padangusthasana, which is peace fingers are gonna grasp around the big toes on both sides. Close the circle by using your thumb on the fingers, and then press the big toes a little bit down so you get that good little squeeze there. If it's possible, straighten the legs. If you got space to do that, that's fine. If not, just keep the knees bent. You're getting the pose and you're getting all the benefits. And I'm sure you're getting a good challenge for your hamstrings either way, isn't it? And then lift the hips, lift, 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 lift. The elbows can go out to the side if you got space. And then lengthen the spine forward and down, forward and down. We're still hanging upside down in a different position. And then undo it, release the big toes, flat back, inhale. That's just a little counter pose or in between pose. And I will do the sister pose of the other one. I've really been enjoying these lately, so they've been in a lot of the videos. So slide your whole left hand under the left foot and then your whole right hand under the right foot. And press the toes down into the wrist creases. I like to turn the elbow crease a little bit forward and then see if you can straighten the legs a little bit more. If that doesn't work, then just keep the knees a bit bent, it's fine. And then press the toes down. If there's still space, you can bend the elbows. I like to bend them towards the shins and then lengthen the spine down, relax the head. Hold for another 3, lift up through the belly. 2, 1, release the hands from underneath your feet and come into a squat. Nice. Take a moment here, there's lots of options for your hands. You can just sort of drape your arms over the knees, I quite like this one. Or if you want to get more to inner thighs, you can press the triceps out inside the legs and maybe place the hands together. Nice, see how that goes. Nice. Next up, we're going to go upside down. I'm going to do headstand. But if headstand doesn't feel good, or you got neck, shoulder problems, or you just don't want to go upside down, you can also do wide-legged forward fold like we've just done. If that's still too much, do child's pose. If you want to do another inversion, you've got a wall nearby, I don't. You can do handstand or forearm balance or headstand at the wall. So I'm doing headstand here, but choose one of these inversions: headstand, wide-legged forward fold, child's pose. We're going to hold it for about a minute or so. I want to turn around, sorry for the back view, but it's going to help me to still face the camera. Nice. This is not the class where I'm instructing how to go up, so just find your way up into your headstand or other inversion. Nice. Remember to press the elbows down, lift the feet up. And mainly what we're doing here is we're giving the brain something else to focus on. You've probably been focused on a whole lot of things: finances, problems, health, relationships, family, friends. And now we're just turning things upside down. It's really hard to stress about all these things. when you're in headstand. Now also feel how there's a bit of an easier blood flow through the head, through the upper body, the heart as well, the brain, and the legs feel a bit lighter in this pose. It's not that we've reversed the blood flow. Don't believe it when anybody tries to tell you that. But what we do reverse is the relation of our body to gravity. We're just upside down, isn't it? So that has some really good benefits here. Nice. Another deep breath. As you exhale, slowly come out. Take your time. Headstanders come into child's pose. Forward fold people. Do you say that? Forward fold people come into child's pose. Child's pose people. Well, you're in child's pose, so we're joining you. Take a moment to let the body soften down. And I quite like the feeling of the forehead against the mat, because that's behind the forehead. That's also where the main thinking brain is, the human being. And just feel like this thinking brain can now soften a bit. It can let go its grip on stuff. Can stop trying to control everything. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to rush off to the next thing. You can just rest here. Good. Slowly roll up to sitting. And then come into, there's two options. You can do cross legs, which is more of an outer hip stretch, or you can do Janu Sirsasana. I'm going to start with the right leg bent. This is the one I'm going to do. I'll turn sideways so I'm not outside the camera frame. So choose one of these, one leg in front, cross-legged, or Janu Sirsasana. You can just go forward to that front foot. I like to add a little twist with the right hand holding outside of left leg or foot. Take a moment here and feel the length in the lower back and in the spine. Couple of breaths here. Let the breath do most of the work. You don't need to push and pull really hard with the muscles. Nice. Slowly lift back up. Swap around. So if you're cross-legged, just swap the crossing of the legs, fold forward. Nice and simple. Or equally simple, right leg straight, left knee bent. I like left hand outside that right leg with a little twist. It feels like I'm getting more into the lower back there. And just keep it simple. You're not trying to go really far. You're trying to focus your mind, or at least get out of the busy, frantic mode of your mind. So just allow the mind to rest here. Mind, this is the pose we're doing. Time for yoga practice. Whatever comes after, we'll see about it. But hopefully we can continue our day with a bit more clarity, a bit more spaciousness. Physically and also mentally, the two very much go together. I'm sure you've noticed that. And then slowly lift up. Let's open the legs wide for Upavishta, the wide-legged seated forward fold. So press the legs apart. You can keep the hands behind you if you need some help to lift the chest, to lift the spine. Or if it's okay to lower the elbows down, then of course you can do that. Sometimes it's nice to support the head, so you can make this little chin support. For many years this was totally unthinkable for me. So if that's you, like way higher up, I totally get you. and just do the pose in whichever way is it's available right now. Don't get sucked into the story of I'm not suitable or all these other people are much better at yoga. This is not going to benefit you in any way. What is going to benefit you is to learn how to focus your mind and to gradually, as you keep practicing, provide a bit more space in the body, a bit more strength, a bit more balance. These are good benefits of a yoga practice. Another breath or so. And then come into easy cross-legged pose. You can sit however you want. Rest the hands on your knees. Lengthen the spine without becoming tense or rigid. And then lift the crown of the head up to the sky. Close your eyes and just rest here for a moment. We came to this practice with a scattered brain. It was all over the place. So was mine. And now you might just find it's a little bit easier to just sit. Half an hour ago, this might not have been possible. So if you can just sit, just breathe, and just take a moment to be here. If you've got a little bit longer, feel free to just continue your seated meditation, to stay a little bit. You can do Shavasana after this. And if it's time to end your practice, move on to something else, then it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for practicing with your scattered brain to do something that is positive for your body and mind. It was really great to see you here, to practice in this way. And namaste. Take good care.